Okay, welcome to week 4. This week we're going to be doing backhands again, and I know backhands can be super discouraging, but if you guys just stick with it, you're going to have a solid foundation. I'm sure it's been a little bit of a struggle for some. Maybe some of you have just picked it up right away. Maybe you have a natural backhand, which isn't very common, just because the arm that's in charge of the stroke is our arm that we don't use for everything, essentially. So I'm going to be giving you guys a couple of more tips. Before I do that, if you guys still are really struggling with it, there's no harm in doing last week's program again, right? It's available. So make sure that you go rewatch that video regardless, that teaches you the basics of the two-handed backhand. I'm sure that you guys are like, oh yeah, I already watched it, but go watch it again. Really ingrain it inside you, the 4 tips that I went over with you guys. That'll be super helpful. I want to give you guys 3 tips to be able to help you further refine, further lock in that foundation for your two-handed backhand. So the first thing is staying low throughout the motion. You'll hear from a lot of people, stand through your motion. You don't want to do that. Okay, you're going to actually lose power and lose out on timing, the correct timing, if you're standing throughout your motion. So you want to stay low on that ball. I'm keeping my knees bent, and then I'm hitting through my shot. And the reason that you want to do that is because all the power is coming from your legs. And also your timing is going to be correct because you're staying at the same plane throughout the entire motion rather than standing through it. The timing to do that is a lot more difficult. So remember to stay low throughout your entire motion and then follow your shot in while staying low. If you do that, you guys are going to have a ton more topspin and a ton more power through your shots. That being said, a little side note tip is when I'm swinging on my backhand, I'm not going 100% power, ever. I can't even think of a time. Maybe when I was messing around with my friends, I would do like as hard as I can. But you're actually going to produce less power the harder and stiffer you swing. So what I suggest is doing 70%. So you want to be at about 70% power as you're swinging through your motion. That's going to be plenty of power if you hit the right location, which we're going to talk about next. It's going to be plenty of power for your opponents to deal with. So 70% as you're hitting through the ball. The next tip is the location that we need to be making contact with the ball in order to hit the ball down the line or cross court. So I'm sure you guys have really struggled with getting the right location down. So here's the tip and something to focus on throughout this week. Remember, one thing at a time. Make sure that you're not focusing on many things at a different time, but focus on where you make contact. So let's start with down the line. If I'm going down the line, I'm going to hit the back side of the ball first of all. So as the ball is traveling towards me, back side of the ball is what's front to me. That's the side of the ball that I'm going to make contact with the ball. I have the same exact motion. I'm still coming over my shoulder. And then I'm going to make contact at the center of my body. Okay, right in between my legs. That's where I make contact with the ball. That's going to make that ball go down the line. If I want to go cross court, I'm going to hit the outside of the ball. Okay, so if the ball is traveling towards me, it's going to be this side of the ball that I'm making contact with. I'm coming around the ball, still have the same exact motion. And then I'm making contact just in front of my dominant knee. So that's the difference. Down the line, center of the body. Cross court is just outside our dominant knee. And that'll help you to make that ball go there. Are you going to get this the first time you try it? No, very unlikely. Maybe you will. Maybe you'll get lucky. But it's going to be repetition that gets it done. So if you guys want to go away from the drills, right, and just practice cross court, down the line, down the line, down the line, that's what I'd suggest doing this week. As well as the actual drills. So maybe take, an extra 15 minutes every day and just toss yourself balls and just hitting cross court one day, next day down the line. Someone that I like to use as an example is Tyson McGuffin. He's number 3 in singles, okay, in the world, which means he's absolutely incredible. He's top 10, has been top 10 for a long time in men's doubles. But in singles specifically, I think that he would be the best singles player because he has such a disgusting serve, such a disgusting forehand, and I mean disgusting in a good way. that he would be number one. He would be better than Ben Johns if he had a backhand, but he doesn't have a backhand. So all Ben does is literally hits backhand, 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 and he beats him like 11-1, 11-2 every time that they play. Tyson has got some wins against him, but it's pretty rare. So just don't neglect it. You'll pay for it later. And I would say work on that two-handed. Number one player in the world is currently working on his two-handed backhand, Ben Johns, who has the best two-handed backhand. And on the men's side, Connor Garnett, if you guys want to look him up and just study his backhand. I'm a visual learner, so seeing someone actually do it is super, super helpful. But look at his backhand. He has the best two-handed backhand. On the women's side, Annalie Waters, without doubt. She has just a beautiful two-handed backhand. So look her up. Obviously, a lot of you know who she is, but just look up two-handed backhand drive, Annalie Waters. And that is what you guys want to do. So I hope that this has been helpful, and I will see you guys on the next training.